BubblePaint. In today's video I start working on a poster which I've created for my bathroom using AI tools. It's a comical poster, so I hope you enjoy. So I have this plan for like a fun poster to go on the wall in my bathroom, but being poster size, it's kind of too big to print in one go, so I'm kind of printing panels at the moment, and there'll be like 6 panels, and I'll glue it all together and paint it all up. And so you can see the poster starting to come together. Just about to start printing the new section, but yeah, we're getting there. Now I am just giving a primer coat. Just makes it easier for the paint to stick to the printed PLA. I've already done that side, and as you can see, it doesn't make it look amazing or anything. The colour block will give a lot more consistency and get rid of the PLA look, but it just, you know, gives the paint something to adhere to properly. Now I do have some issues that I haven't been able to fix with some of this text down the bottom. It didn't print out 100% perfectly. I'm not overly happy with that, but that's something that I will basically fix. So just going to do a little bit of colour blocking on the poster before I get started into any detail. Using this eggshell blue Montmartre that I have, because it's about the lightest blue that I have around, and I've dialed down the size of the brush from the priming brush that I used, which was much bigger, and just slathered stuff everywhere. Yeah, this should still make it a pretty quick process using this kind of size brush. So I'm not going to worry about the top part because that's like a reddy brown colour. And I'm not going to worry about some of these text boxes. In order to get the text down the bottom especially to work, I think I'm just going to go straight black and white with that. So yeah, no need for a light blue colour to kind of colour block there, but for the rest of it, it's going to be tones of like blue and green. So a light blue going down first shouldn't impact on anything too strongly. It just starts to give a little bit of an area to base the actual colours from. So the motif in the background, there are a couple of other people. The idea is, like, the whole concept is a tongue-in-cheek kind of story set in like a futuristic scientific kind of warfare zone, kind of very similar to like Warhammer kind of universe, although of course none of this is like an endorsed thing, it's just AI generated and it's not for sale and all that kind of stuff for legal reasons. But, you know, because I don't want to breach any copyrights or trademarks or anything like that and get myself or my channel into any kind of problems. But its ultimate aim is going to be in my bathroom. So hence why I wanted kind of like a bathroom themed poster. And yeah, I used AI tools to create many images, and basically I have a program on my Mac. It's called Affinity Photo, but it's basically, most people would have heard of like Photoshop for like Windows and other computers. So it's very similar to that style of program where you can kind of put different parts of images together and manipulate things and that. So the poster itself is kind of like a meld or a mesh with Affinity Photo of like 3 or 4 of the images which the AI tools I use, and I use several. It wasn't particularly one particular program, like there might have been parts from one and parts from another, but anyway, kind of threw it all into Affinity Photo on my Mac computer and put it together in a way that I think is kind of unique and fun and different. And so then once I had it as an image, then I was able to use other AI tools to convert it into a digital mesh. But because of with 3D printing, you have a build plate, like an actual plate that you print your 3D model onto, and there are size limitations. Like every 3D printer, they have a set size for your build plate, and obviously I was never going to be able to print out something of this kind of size in one go, right? Which is why I ended up printing it out in 6 parts, 6 plates, and gluing them together, which unfortunately, it did create a few seam lines and things like that, which is not ideal, but it's just practical. Because once again, otherwise you would end up with a poster that was limited to the size of your printer build plate. So this is how we have ended up with the model. Now I've got it all together and starting to flesh it out a bit. I'll be able to see once I've gone through this if there's anything that I'm really egregiously unhappy with, because it's kind of all been a little bit white on white, but I think you can definitely still see some parts of the lines. The face stuff definitely it sorted out the major issues that I had there, so I'm happy with that. Still think there's a little bit too much being able to see lines across from the joins, but I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to do that. And ultimately in the finished product, I don't think it's going to be a major deal anyway, because you use colour to hide a lot of that stuff. Okay, so for this text section, all I'm going to do here is just blanket the whole area in the white. Don't need to be too fancy or pedantic about it, because what I'll do then later is with a really small brush, I'll go around the white text with black, and basically I'll just block it all out behind it is the plan. So similar concept now to the white, but at the other end, for the text and the logo, I'm using this pastel lemon from Montmartre. Like the white, it will probably require 2 coats to get a good finish on it and get rid of the greenish tinge from the PLA printing itself. That's not looking great actually. Yeah, I probably should do a white first before I do the yellow. Okay, a bullet. Okay, we are back. I really should have put it together in my mind that there were going to be issues with such a light pastel kind of yellow going directly on the primer. Anything that's, you know, half dark wouldn't be a problem, but something that's such a light kind of yellow, yeah, I really should have seen what was the writing on the wall and done some white coats. But anyway, now this has had 2 coats of white, and it should be fine now to give the yellow painting a go. And then once I've given it its second coat, then I can start working on the dark background, which will be what will give it its definition. So you can't really read it like light with light, but once it's light surrounded by the dark colour, in this case it's going to be like a very reddy brown at the top, then it should look really clear what the text is. So with these types of small letterings, I find the best is to do it in 2 directions. So first off, do like a swirl where you try and get into, like O's for example, there's a lot of divots, and it's just don't go in one direction with a brush doesn't work so well. But then once you've kind of given that the first pass, then to get it all looking a little bit more consistent with the paint itself, I like to finish it off. I like to finish off by going in one direction, in the direction of the letters basically, and that seems to give the best result and final finish with text. So just doing some highlighting around the big black lettering at the top. This is Montmartre reddy brown colour called Ochre Rogue, yeah. So it's much easier than like on that small plaque, because the text is very raised. It's actually probably the most raised part of the model. I'm not entirely sure why that is, because kind of everything was 3-dimensional, and then I had to kind of flatten it all a bit in Blender to get it down to a printable kind of size. But for whatever reason, this text thankfully is nice and easy to paint. So just going around with a regular kind of size brush, doing the edges on the top, because that's kind of easy. This yellow is still wet, so once that's dry, it'll be a little bit easier to go and do the lines right next to the build plate, as it were. So just now working on the side borders. I've kind of gone around a few of the areas with a detail brush where I needed to pay attention, but now that that's done, I'll just kind of quickly whip around with a bigger brush and get that all kind of squared in, so I can move on to other things. Anyway, you get the idea. So I'll probably wrap this video up there, and when we come back to it, there'll be, I'll concentrate on the text part first. There's multiple text parts. But once I've got that kind of squared away, then we'll start working on the motif in the middle.
Anyway, as always, thank you for watching.